everyone, it's Carolyn here to share more channeled messages from the Light Keepers. They're a group of angelic beings I channel for your awakening and ascension journey support. So I was called just today to really make December a little more personal for you as far as some very specific things that we can do and that we may choose to focus on that will assist us forward in these very highly energetic times, particularly through the new year. So what happened with me is I started to get words and I started to write them down, and I realized, oh, these are all things that they want us to focus on or consider focusing on for December. And again, the energy updates that I do, they're more collective, they're very big picture, and sometimes we will drill down into more specific individual kinds of things that we can do. But today, we're going to really focus on that. And I've got a few that I've written down. I think it's 7 or 8. But all I did was write them down, and what I'm hoping to do then is have them give me more detail on each of these, and then we might have others pop up. Who knows? So this is kind of a free-for-all. So thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully you'll take something away where you can actually use this wave of energy that we're on from the eclipse that started back in November, the solar eclipse that we then had just this past Friday, and this is being filmed on December 6th, and then moving into all the energetic shifts and changes that are coming through December, including the massive solstice. So that's the wave they've been showing that we're on. And so what do we do with it, right? We're writing it. Okay? It's not like we're having to maneuver a lot is what they're showing. It's just we're up there. We're just kind of taking it as it comes. So these are some specific things that maybe you can take 1 or 2 things away and consider it for your journey. So I'm Carolyn. I'm a channel. I'm a distance energy healer, and I'm a spiritual awakening mentor. And I offer these channels and these videos for your journey forward. And I always hope that you take a few things away for your own journey that you can apply. And like I said, if the rest doesn't resonate, then just toss it aside. So coming into this with an open mind is always really helpful. It doesn't mean you have to do these things or that these all resonate with you, but it's information I'm bringing in to help you with your journey. So if you're new to my channel, you can check out the description box below where you're going to see a link that will take you to a video on how to create flow in your body for health and wellness. It's super important now, and it gives you some tips on how to do that. But even more importantly is it takes you to my email list that you can join, and you can get each week a channeled message from the Light Keepers to support you on your week coming up. So it typically comes out on Fridays or Saturdays for the week to come. And they're beautiful messages of support. So I send those out once a week, and you can join me there by just clicking on that link below. And oftentimes that's also where I will put special discounted offers, which I want to talk about today because we're in the holiday season. And I had mentioned how I have gift certificates available, but what I clearly forgot to mention is I have 10% off on my channeled messages session via the phone or Zoom, okay? Or a spiritual awakening guidance session on the phone or Zoom. So they're similar in nature of how they actually work, but it's what we focus on. Whether you're going through the spiritual awakening journey or not, we're all going through the life journey, and it's so helpful to get channeled information for your own life journey. So what I do is I work with your angels and your guides, and we work back and forth. We talk back and forth on the phone or through Zoom if you're international, and we essentially do a quick summary of your life journey to bring you up to present day. And you're going to get a lot of information there too that will assist you in understanding relationships and experiences that are really kind of have defined maybe where you are today in your journey. And then we'll cover that you've brought to the session in the hour that we have. They are really powerful sessions. We cover a lot of ground, and they're super robust. So take advantage of the 10% off because it'll give you a chance to see what it's like to work with me or to gift somebody, because I also create beautiful gift certificates for you if you purchase for someone else. Okay, so that's it. What we're going to do is just talk about these individually. Like I said, this is total free flow, and from there we'll see what else they have to say. Okay, so I'm going to read each of these because I just got a short statement, a few words, and then I am intending to expand upon that from what they offer. So the first one is, they said, open your heart. Let's see what they have to say about that. Oh, they're talking about opening your heart to what is being presented to you in its fullest form. Oh, they just said, how do you love? Okay, this is talking about how do you love others unconditionally. Have you been practicing? They're talking about. What does that mean for you as you journey forward. By the way, when I channel, I look straight up or off to the right or the left, so I probably won't be looking at you, needless to say. So this is all about, okay, so they're talking about the holiday time and how we can very much, okay, they just said get rattled with all that's going on, right? And all the things that we have to do, and time seems to be moving faster and slipping away. But what they're saying is, okay, they're talking about opening your heart to the small moments in time. And yes, we want to do that when we're with loved ones, if we're doing holiday celebrations, but they're very much giving me the visual of running into people on the streets, maybe when you're, I don't know if you're shopping, if you're just doing errands. They actually said that's actually the biggest test of, of being able to open your heart up and to actually consciously do that. Like pick a day, maybe, that you're going out to do a lot of errands. And this is going to take conscious work, right? Because oftentimes we just buzz by, do our thing unconsciously. We just pass by so many people. But what they're saying to me is offer your love to each person that you encounter. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means a smile. That means a kind word. That means even if you don't say anything, you recognize their presence energetically. That's really important, okay? Recognizing their presence energetically, not just blindly walking by someone. Because remember, we're all part of the oneness. And so when we connect in with another, especially with the light that we have, with the work that we've done as we're awakening and ascending, oh my gosh, we help others. We help each other. That's the thing. So, wow, what a great time to be able to think about how we can open our heart to others. So think about that, just the day-to-day interactions you have, the teeny ones, right? The ones that you don't think even matter. I mean, we always think about how do we love others that are in our family, our romantic relationships, our friendships. Let's take it to a different level. That's where it's going to be really powerful. And they're really saying that this season is super powerful for it, December. And, of course, as we know, it's a highly energetic time. All right, what's the next one? Okay, so they gave me the word introspection. Let's see what they have to say about that. Okay, they just said never forget yourself. For you are first and foremost the one to consider, but because you cannot consider others until you consider yourself. I mean, think about that. If we ignore ourselves, then don't we just end up doing the same thing to others? Because honestly, what we build on the inside of ourselves, we do present that out to others. I mean, think about it. There's all the psychology around projection. There's, when people don't deal with their stuff, they project out. They treat others like they treat themselves. We all have done it, right? But there's actually psychology terms that can be used for the things that we do to others that we present out to them. Like I said, like projection. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Oh my gosh, they used to be on the tip of my tongue. So how they're relating this is, it really talking about in these hurried days of this particular month and with all the energies, to not let it get lost upon you, to stay introspective, because that's how we are aware of what we're presenting out to others and the energy we're presenting out. So keep grounded within yourself and staying true to yourself, they're also saying, in the sense of being able to see how you react to others during this time. So again, I go back to, for a lot of this is a hectic time of year. There's a lot of holiday celebrations for many of us. If nothing else, we're probably getting together with family. It goes from United States Thanksgiving through Christmas, and we have all the energies with it that are all wonderful, but they do tend to affect us, right? And then we have the New Year's, and it's highly energetic with the New Year's because humankind has created that. So we can often lose sight of how important it is to stay connected and be introspective and realize where we're coming from in our words and actions. And so again, this is interesting. This is all going to the energy we're presenting from inside ourselves to others. Oh, they just said, in the powerful impact that you can have and not even realize it. Now they're giving me a frowny face. Oh, not that we have to be a Pollyanna and act in a way we don't feel, but what they're very much showing is, wow, how much a smile can make a difference for people that we run into. But they really want us to stay introspective and to stay centered in ourselves and to not forget ourselves during these times, because we can very much In these busy times and highly energetic times, we can lose sight of ourselves. And the first thing we often do is we set aside all the things that are our foundation of self-care, right? Like we'll forget to meditate. Like when I went on vacation recently, do you think I meditated at all? No, I had every intention to do all my practices. Nope. I got up in the morning, didn't do my stretches. I didn't do my meditation. I didn't meditate at the end of the day. I just got whipped up into being on vacation. So that was not great. I could have benefited much more with my vacation had I done that. But the point here is we're also in a lot of energetic times, so don't forget yourself, because that's the platform from which the rocket, which is us, launches off in our journey. You got to have a stable platform. All right, they're talking about planting a seed. Okay, planting a seed. They also said something else about planting a seed. Okay, so they're talking about also tending the garden. Okay, so plant the seed and tend the garden. All right, so what are they talking about here? Okay, they said, we wish you to think about what you intend for yourself in your journey forward into the times of, okay, they're talking about great creation. Okay, they're talking about explosive creation, explosive creativity. It's like a wave of energy that we're going to have available to us in 2022, where we're going to see, they just talked about great expansion, of human consciousness. Okay, well, that makes sense too. And with that comes new creation, right? So when we expand our consciousness and we become more aware that there's, particularly like when we go through this journey, think about this journey, how much you realize now, oh my gosh, the opportunity there is out there as we expand our consciousness. We've just been a small part of what we truly are. And now we're starting to be able to reflect that out in our creations, in our actions. So what they're saying is, like, get that seed planted. And they're showing like a little, they just said mustard seed. That's so cute. So a little seed, planting that, but then tending your garden, going back to that seed and waiting for inspiration and passion and just knowing what is it you want. Even, it can be something super little, but the thing is, it's what we're going to create moving forward, okay? A lot of us have big ideas, right? A lot of us really are moving forward in creating something that will be part of this new earth, whether it's part of our own journey, which is incredibly important, right? Shifting and changing something, planting a seed for something new there. A lot of people are starting spiritually based businesses. It's really interesting what I'm seeing out there. But that's not for everybody. But those that are, guess what? You can start seeing the engine starting up. Okay, they just said, they just said ignition switch. Okay, so, like the ignition switch is going to flip for a lot of these creations. And what I'm getting is a sense that we're taking off in January and we're ramping up into like energies of spring. And a lot of these new ideas, these new concepts, these new earth types of what we want to manifest, that maybe before we would have thought, I could never do this. I could never do this in the times past. Guess what? Yes, you can, because you can create anything you want. So this is the plant the seed. Great opportunity during these energies to plant the seed. And as you know, with the moons, new moon, full moon, you get the opportunity to really kind of revisit that every time. We get a lot of opportunity during the solstice. So what I would say to you is really wrap yourselves around a one thing that you want to plant a seed for, and then start tending that garden. Now remember, we're involved in these manifestations. Just like if you have a garden, right? You can't just ignore it. You can't plant the seed and go away. You got to tend the garden. You got to weed it. You got to make sure that it's like pest control. And by the way, we're going to have a video here shortly on basically pest control with our energetic field and our auric field, because I want to explain to you a little bit about how you can actually make sure that lower energies aren't interfering with you. Anyway, back to this. Tend your garden, right? You got to tend your garden. So you've got to keep coming back to it, looking and seeing, revisiting. But what we want to do is do it with passion and inspiration, not with I have to do this and this is hard and I don't feel like doing it today. That's not what this is about. This is about going with flow. But plant the seed, water it, and start watching, and then spending some time with it each time. And I think what will happen, and I'm seeing this with people that are actually there, okay, they just said they're on the cusp of. Oh, I just heard brilliance in humankind. Yeah, there's a lot out there where what we're starting to be able to do is take the things that we love in our spiritual journey, some of the, what I'll just say, are gifts, but are actually us naturally, but they're starting to show up now. And we're taking those gifts and we're incorporating them. A lot of people are incorporating them into some of their current, like what you might just call 3D work. But what they're doing is they're elevating that 3D thing they've been working on or the work they currently do, and they're shifting and changing it by inserting in the spirituality component. So there may be a foundational piece or business or concept you already have been doing over time or in the old Pisces energy, right? Of just, it was an old belief system, old construct, but it's going to get revamped. Doesn't mean we have to break everything down completely. But what will happen is now with this new spirituality that we have in the collective and with us going through this, we're able to take those concepts, insert into that new energy, into these old belief systems and old structures. It doesn't mean everything's going to be broken down into dust, right? Remember, we've talked about how things are breaking down at the same time things are being built up. However, we are infusing a lot of the spirituality energy, the awakening higher consciousness energy into the old to create brand new. Does that make sense? Okay, so plant your seed. All right, perspective. Okay, and I'm not sure what they mean by this. We're going to find out. Perspective. What do you mean by perspective? Okay, they just said take a look now outside yourself. Okay, they just said, I don't know where this is going. Understand that everything that you see is with a lens that you have created. Step back and gain a new perspective. They said it'll get a hold on you in a way. Now this is going into the observer idea, but it's okay. They're talking about gaining a perspective on this collective journey. Oh, all right, okay. So, which also requires the stepping back. This is not as individual as it is. This is more collective. What they're trying to explain is this idea of like not getting sucked down the vortex. Perspective on everything that's happening. Because here's the thing. We also see the goodness that's starting. We also see how, and I think I talked about this in a last video, how it's almost just so obvious that the lower energies or the old constructs, the old belief systems, all that old energy is trying to keep us pulled back. It's like it's almost laughable now. Like we can completely identify it. And now we're in a space where there's more of a gap between the old and this new, and we don't get engulfed in it. And now we're able to see the forest for the trees. So that's that perspective of being able to, instead of being so close to it and saying, oh, and going into fear mode, and oh, this is something real and true, and I must look over my shoulder all the time and wonder about this. That's not the case anymore. You have perspective. Okay, that's what they're saying. You're actually further away. Oh, they said you're looking at it now through a telescope. All right, versus up close and personal. And yeah, we're all going through our stuff, right? But we're talking collective situation, global kinds of events, these kinds of things. We can see the forest for the trees now because we have gained a new perspective, which is what this raising of consciousness, ascension, spiritual awakening process does to us. It allows us to look, see the bigger picture and go, oh, I get it. Okay, I have a different perspective now. So again, continuing to gain that perspective, remember to have perspective, remember not to get engulfed in, and that we actually are in that place now where we have perspective is what they're saying. Okay, that's really, okay, and they're also talking about how that's critically important for moving into 2022. And I think that's because, I keep saying this, but they keep telling me there's a lot that is going down. And as we've seen, meaning in the collective and worldwide, okay, then said in politics, and they're talking about large institutional structures as well. There's a lot going on in this, in the stability of what we've seen. And some of this stability feels earthquake-like too. So, the planet is often reflective, it's a living being. Gaia is a living being, is being reflective as well. But I'm getting a shaking, quaking kind of feel. But this is also the structures that are shifting and changing even more so. But But realizing now that as we see these things happening that are going to probably, they just said exponentially increase in 2022. Okay, they just said to create the brand new. Ooh, wow. We have a greater understanding, we have greater perspective, we see what's going on, and we're less likely to get sucked into it than we would have been maybe a couple of years ago. Okay, so that's very cool. Perspective, keep your perspective, all right? And always realign yourself. Lots of times what will happen is you'll lose perspective, right? I've done it. We don't do it. And usually, often it can maybe be a day-to-day situation, whether it's be perspective with your own personal situation or perspective globally. And what they're really talking about here is kind of the bigger picture perspective, because then what that does is that helps you be able to travel your journey in a much more comfortable way. All right, when we understand kind of what the big picture is happening, what's going on, don't lose sight of that. All right, we've also got gain clarity. Okay, what does that mean? Gain clarity. What does that mean? Oh, they said during this month is a great opportunity to gain clarity on seeing your way forward. Okay, what are your deepest desires and manifestations? Okay, so here's what they're talking about is how, okay, in 2022, this is creation energy. We're in these new waves of energy with Aquarian Age energies. And they're saying gain clarity on some of the things that you have passion and desire for in your journey, that you want to see in your life, that you want to see manifested, what you want for yourself, okay? And I don't know, maybe it's a new car, but and it can be material things, but as we move more into this spiritual journey, we start understanding that gaining clarity as to what we really want, it's deeper, right? It doesn't mean we still don't want material things, but what are we creating out of that? When we gain clarity of who we are and what we desire, and okay, they're also talking gaining clarity, part of that is what do we surround ourselves with? Oftentimes we can't be clear-headed or clear-minded or clear-thinking if we're around, and I'll just use an example, a house full of clutter, right? Or chaotic energy with, being around people all day long in whatever way that means. We can always find time for ourselves. But what they're getting at here is gaining clarity around what you want to manifest and create out of, but then you've got to have the environment that you're into. So this is why in so much of what we've talked about in the past is we start chopping things off, right? Chopping branches off of things that we're doing. We no longer want to do this. We no longer want to have this job. We start, like they said, the spiritual path is narrow. We start narrowing down. And then what starts to happen is we start gaining greater clarity as to what serves us, right? So keep gaining that clarity as to, is there another limb of the tree that needs to come off, right? Does this path no longer serve me? Really doing, they just said pruning, really doing that pruning effect. And this is also helpful as you go into the new year. Now that doesn't mean we might not pick up a branch and take it with us. It might show up again, right? But again, framing that up, taking that forward. What is that going to look like for you? Okay, so we've got health and well-being. This is pretty obvious, but we've talked about it a lot because, as you know, we talk a lot about self-care in our videos. Self-care, they just said mind the gap. Okay, so this all has to do with health and well-being, mind the gap. Okay, what does that mean? Where are the areas that you could choose, that you could use some more focus on within the health and well-being category? That also goes to mindfulness, okay? Pick one thing. It doesn't have to be everything. Just pick one thing to do. Where in the health and well-being category can you close the gap, mind the gap, that will help you? Okay, they're showing connecting all the pieces of yourself to be able to do that more fully when you start minding the gap of what might be missing. Here's a great example. It's a small example. Let's say, I used to drink Mountain Dew like crazy, right? That was my breakfast for many years, and then I'd have another one at 1 o'clock after lunch. Well, that's not a great way, at least it wasn't for me, to start my day. And all those sugary drinks that I would drink, I was jacked up on caffeine like nobody's business, and it was sugar too, right? But That's one thing that I just said no more. And as of New Year's, again, with our, enjoyment of New Year's resolutions, that's always an opportunity, right? So I quickly just said, no, not doing this anymore. So health and well-being, pick one thing. Just pick one thing. And then what I did, I replaced it with tea. So for the last, I don't know, dozens of years, that's what I've done. I drink tea instead and water, and that's about it. But anyway, these can be lifelong habits that are super helpful. Pick one thing and just move forward in that, and considering what that will be in December for health and well-being. Add a walk to your day, 30 minutes. That's something that I started to do, was walking. I always thought walking was silly because it didn't give you enough exercise. That is not true. So again, health and well-being. Remember, we're focusing on personal things now that you can do in December, that you can start setting the stage for, that you can carry forward into the new year. Again, this is also not about beating yourself up if you don't do the thing every day. This is just about, like they said, tending the garden. Plant that seed, tend the garden, okay? And oftentimes we'll have to take weeds out and do something over and replant. So with that, we've got stay focused. Okay, this is important. This is very, okay, they just said, okay, yeah, we're in a place right now energetically where they just said a lot that will want to try to take you off your game. That kind of goes to the energies that can poke in and prod us and cause us distress and kind of take us off our path. So what I would say to you is stay focused in knowing yourself. How do you feel every day? How do you getting to know what your triggers are, getting to know when something doesn't feel right for you, and what do you do energetically to take care of your energy body. So point of that is stay focused on yourself is what they're trying to say. Stay focused on understanding yourself, right? Of when you don't feel right, when you do feel great. What are the connecting points there that made you feel great each day? What do you learn about yourself that helps you create that recipe that's going to help you move forward in this journey? Because it is about, like they said, being introspective, but staying focused on that, not losing sight of yourself. And to one degree or another, we all have a tendency to externalize and focus on others, all right? But this is about us coming back in to really understand ourselves so that we can journey forward in these brand new energies, because we're actually setting a brand new foundation. But it's all come from the work that we've done to raise our consciousness, which has raised also our frequency and our vibration and our light that we offer. But you got to be aware of how you're impacted by all around you. So getting in tune with yourself, your mind, body, and soul, and the signs and messages it sends to you is really important. Lastly, they're talking about staying in that higher vibration. Well, all the things we just talked about here help you do that, right? So let's just see if they've got anything for us on that. Okay, they just said it's a mindset. Oh, it's a thoughts or things. No, they just said, we wish you to know you can think yourself into high vibration. You can shift and change yourself dimensionally and your mode of frequency just by what you think. See, this is so important because it is perspective. I mean, if you think about half glass full people, half glass empty, I mean, you see the difference, right? Are we walking around with a, I'll just say, kind of positive mindset, or are we negative all the time? Do we think about our words? What are our words like? Oh my gosh, that was the biggest thing for me. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was so unconscious to the words I was using, particularly when it came to talking about myself. I would criticize myself and not even know it. Or I would do something, I don't know, let's just say I dropped something and broke a glass. I would just say, oh my God, you are so stupid. I would never think of saying that today. That just quickly ended. But I used to do that all the time. So again, really staying in that high vibration, because words are energetic. And what we're doing is we just lower our vibration. So consciously thinking about every single day, what are we doing to offer that higher vibration? What are we saying? What are we doing? So this is very much the thoughts or things. You can think your way to higher vibration. You can think your way. And the other thing that I highly suggest is we can get into a whirlwind and a spin when we're in our same environment, like our home environment or our work environment, every day doing some of the same, routine things that we all have a tendency to do. But we can get into a spin, all right, in a certain energy, get outside and get into a higher vibration, let that go. When you're in nature, what's going to happen for you is you're getting outside, it's going to be able to reset you in a way that you wouldn't have felt before. So a 30-minute walk outdoors, when you're starting to feel like you're in a spin, get outside. Because remember, these energies are coming in And we want to try to meet them at this high vibration level. So again, this is about keeping that vibration high. You're all in that state right now where you're gaining in frequency, gaining in vibration, gaining in light. You're riding that wave. Remember, we're all up there in one way or another, and we're all experiencing it a little differently. Some of us are probably wobbling on our surfboards. Others are just like, hey, let's just go. So just know that this is about keeping that high vibration as we move through this month and matching those beautiful energies that are coming. That doesn't mean we don't deal with our stuff, that we don't, get upset or cry on occasion. That's all great, because that's helping us get out some of the things that are keeping us from vibing higher and moving into that higher frequency, that higher dimension way of being on a regular basis. And you're going to be uplifted because of that, of dealing with those things. So again, this is not about don't deal with your stuff. This is very much deal with your stuff, because then that allows a gateway to open up for you to work in a higher vibration day to day, because you've cleared out all of this. So thinking about what keeps you in that feeling good state, a core foundation of that is being able to deal with the things you haven't dealt with or that come your way because of past life experiences that are showing up now, or clearing all of that. Emotional situations, relationship situations. Again, this is all driving you to vibe higher, all right? Choices we're making day to day. So keeping that in mind, it's not about just running around with a smile on your face all the time and ignoring things. No, it's about dealing with it to allow you to move into that higher vibration space, match the energies that are coming in, and then to, like they show on that wave, surfing across, just going with the flow. All right, so I hope this has been helpful. We're going to I don't do cards, but I'm going to do one today. I am going to pull from the deck, the Soul Journey deck, right here, of James Van Praagh. He was actually the very first person I came across in a library. One of his first books, it was actually on grief, but it went into much more detail because my journey, my awakening journey came full circle with my dark night of the soul when a loved one passed away. And so I was looking to how to understand the grief that I was feeling. And here I was in the library and I found one of his books. So he's one that I've actually kind of always been drawn to. So anyway, this is Soul Journey with James Van Praagh. And there's a little book of explanation. I'm not going to use that. We're just going to pull a card today to see what additionally they want to bring through. And we're just going to channel some information. So I hope this has helped you. I'm just going to shuffle some cards. I do not know how to shuffle cards. That's one thing. I've never understood that, like how they can do that. So I just do it my own way. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, I'm not a big card person, but when I want to pull a card, they're powerful. So I'm just going to wait for one to pop out and talk in the meantime. I have a lot of chills right now. I don't know what this means. I have a lot of chills. So they must be having something good show up. It might take a minute because, like I said, I'm not the best shuffler. But I hope this has helped you today to be able to take one of these things at least, or just look at the list again and go, okay, how can I apply this? Oops, there we go. How can I apply this to myself? All right, we got our card, folks. What is it? Let's just see the rest of them down. It's change. I have a lot of chills. No wonder. Oh my gosh, is this not the best card? I understand that nothing can grow or evolve without movement. We are in the great, this is a great card. That's just, it never fails to amaze me when I do pull a card. That's where we're headed, into this huge opportunity for shift and change. So what they're saying to me, okay, the reason we got that card is everything we just talked about here. And of course, it's not all exclusive. Everything we talked about here, applying it personally, allows us to get ready for this change. Now, change is happening all the time, right? But we're going into a year where they keep talking about explosive change. So we want to be ready, right? Now, it's not all going to come at once. We're going to have change after change after change. But we're going to, they just said gradations. So we're going to see gradations of this. Like we may see a big jump and then a small change, a big jump, a small change. And this isn't just us individually. Change comes from inside out, right? And then we manifest the new earth that way in all that we do individually. However, we see things happen on a global scale, all right? And what we want to understand is that those things are going to happen too. But we're going to continue with shift and change. And see, we talked about this, how it's going to be, honestly, massive shift and change in 2022. It's just like we're going to get a big, they're kind of like talking like a kick in the rear. And they're so funny sometimes because this has a lot to do with what we're launching off from with the solstice energies. And then it's like the new year, like the solstice just, like I think I said last time, slingshots us forward. So change, that's the name of the game. That's what we're preparing for. All of these things here hopefully will assist you in cross-checking what you can do in December to help you get ready for the times to come. So with that today, I hope you've enjoyed this different video. And I'll remind you again, as I did, don't forget my services, purplerainhealing.com. What better time to take advantage of a channeled message just for yourself between you and me, where I receive from your spirit team, your angels, your guides, your higher self, and help you understand and help facilitate that conversation between you and them. I would love to work with you. Remember, 10% discount through December 23rd for those sessions. So email me, Carolyn at purplerainhealing.com, or visit my website, purplerainhealing.com, and connect with me there. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, and I will see you in the next video.